William Hoscut, first mate of the Obra Dinn, was a brother-in-law of Captain Robert Withrow, and by Withrow's own admission, his friend. He clearly had the trust of his captain, and could be seen in almost every scene that Withrow is involved in. Withrow conferred with him upon bringing the mermaids on board. He was present when the captain ordered steward Philip Dahl to be confined to the lazarette, and when the remaining passengers on the ship escaped by boat in Chapter 9, he joined the captain to try to stop Leonid Volkov from attacking the passengers. Based on his relationship with the captain, it would be easy to suspect nepotism in Hoscut's appointment as first mate. However, his performance during the voyage of the Obra Dinn proves that he is far from just a crony. He was in the thick of action when the crab riders attacked the ship, and he could be seen fighting them on the all-up deck with a musket. At one point, he was actually backed into a corner, shielding himself with his gun while a crab rider tried to stab him. The crew, on their part, seemed to trust and respect him. The last crew members of the ship sided with him in the mutiny against the captain, and in Escaped Part 6, he rushes to the aid of Midshipman Thomas Lang, who had just been stabbed. The dying Lang begs Hoscut not to leave him, and Hoscut stays by the young officer's side, consoling him and trying to give him courage. It's one of the most poignant scenes in Return of the Obra Dinn, and it shows so many things about Hoscut's character in just a few lines. With all that has happened on the ship, with his sister dead and the captain understandably on the verge of breakdown, Hoscut remained as stout as a man could be. His voice was brimming with compassion for the young officer, and with things happening as quickly as they did, what he said to the young man could only have come from the bottom of his heart. The way Lang spoke clearly showed that he had unconditional trust for Hoscut, almost like Hoscut was a father figure to him. Could the same exchange have happened between Lang and Captain Withrow? Somehow, I doubt it. As discussed in the previous episode, Captain Withrow is not a horrible person, but he could come off as aloof and proud. Perhaps, in contrast to his captain, Hoscut offered a presence that was more down-to-earth and approachable, balancing his captain's demeanor. All this makes what happened in the end even more tragic, as Hoscut turns on his captain, brother-in-law, and friend, apparently demanding the mermaid shells that had been brought on board at a time when they should have had each other's backs, mourning over the loss of Hoscut's sister. Some people theorize that Hoscut and the mutineers were not actually after the shells themselves, but wanted to get rid of them because they believed the shells to be cursed. While there's a plausible explanation, based on the language that mutineers use and their actions, I believe they were motivated by desire, most likely due to the influence of the shells. Even in these last moments, when Hoscut's mind was apparently not his own anymore, he remained the most even-keeled of the mutineers, still trying to convince the captain to hand over the shells without having to resort to violence. The tragedy of William Hoscut is not in his death. Rather, it's the fact that a man whom up to this point has proven to be gallant, compassionate, trustworthy, and strong-willed, could betray his loyalties and turn on his friend and captain due to the influence of unholy powers, something that he would certainly not have done if his mind was his own. It is the horror of losing one's reason, of not knowing what you are doing. And ironically, it's the opposite of the tragedy of Robert Withrow, who was far too aware of what he had done. That's it for the recap of William Hoscut. Next time, we'll be back to talk about someone who is far less respectable, second mate Edward Nichols. Until then, have a good day, and I'll see you again.